Here is what almost everyone assumes about the beautiful game: that as players got faster, fitter, and more brilliant, the football got better and the goals kept coming. It is a lovely idea, and if you chart the goals scored at every World Cup since 1930, it is almost exactly wrong, because the line does not climb. It falls. The tournament that once averaged more than 5 goals a game now struggles to reach 3. As the players got better, the World Cup scored fewer goals, not more. This is the story of the disappearing goal. This is the long series. Start at the beginning, and the early World Cups look like something from another sport. In 1930, the very first tournament averaged nearly 4 goals a game. It climbed from there, and in 1954, in Switzerland, the world watched the most gloriously reckless football tournament ever recorded: 5.38 goals in every single match. Teams attacked because they knew little else. Defences were an afterthought. If you had only ever seen that World Cup, you would think football was a game where somebody scored roughly every quarter of an hour. Why so many goals? Because the game was young, and attack came naturally, while defence had barely been invented. Formations pushed numbers forward. Marking was loose. The pitches were heavy. Goalkeepers were unprotected. And the idea of 11 men working as a single defensive machine simply did not exist yet. Scoring was not a triumph over a well-drilled system. It was what happened when two teams ran at each other. The goal glut of the early World Cups was not a golden age of genius. It was the sign of a game that had not yet learned how to stop. And then it learned. From the late 1950s onward, football discovered organisation. Italian sides perfected Catenaccio, the doorbolt, a system built to smother. Coaches became as important as strikers. Teams learned to sit deep, to mark tightly, to break quickly, and above all, to protect a lead. Winning stopped being about scoring the most and started being about conceding the least. The professional era had arrived, and with it, a simple, ruthless truth. It is far easier to teach a team to defend than to teach it to score. So the line falls, and it falls for 30 years. Watch it slide from that giddy 1954 peak, tournament after tournament, as defences tightened across the world. It reaches the bottom in 1990 in Italy, a World Cup so cautious, so strangled by the fear of losing, that it averaged just 2.21 goals a game, the lowest in the tournament's history. Some of the finest players who ever lived produced some of the dullest football ever televised. The game had perfected defence so completely that it had nearly coached the goals out of itself. Italia 90 was so tedious that football did something drastic. It changed its own rules to force the goals back. The reward for winning a match was raised from 2 points to 3 to punish teams that played for draws. Tackles from behind were outlawed to protect attackers. And in 1992 came the big one, the back pass rule. No longer could a defender simply roll the ball to the goalkeeper to pick up and waste away the clock. Suddenly, keeping the ball safe took real skill and real risk. The sport had looked at its own data and legislated for entertainment. And it worked, a little. After 1990, the line stops falling and levels off. The goals crept back, settling into a narrow band between roughly 2.3 and 2.7 a game, right where they remain today. Qatar, in 2022, produced a record total of 172 goals, but only because the tournament now packs in far more matches. Per game, it was a perfectly ordinary 2.69. Modern football is faster, fitter, and more skillful than ever. It is also, stubbornly, no more goalie than it was 40 years ago. Here is the whole arc, end to end. A wild, high-scoring youth, a long professional decline, a rock bottom in 1990, and a modern plateau that all the pace and genius in the world cannot seem to lift. It is one of sport's great counterintuitive truths. We assume better players must mean more goals, but goals are not made by attackers alone. They are what is left over after the defense has done its work. And defense, it turns out, improves faster than attack. Organization scales. Brilliance does not. Put the eras side by side and the shift is stark. Across the 1930s to 50s, World Cups averaged well over 4 goals a game. Through the defensive decades that followed, that fell to under 3. And in the modern era, from the 1990s to today, it has held at around 2.5. 3 different sports, almost, played with the same ball. The players did not get worse. The game got smarter, and a smarter game is a tighter one. So as the 2026 World Cup unfolds across North America, bigger than any before it with 48 teams, watch the scorelines with a historian's eye. A 4-goal thriller is not the natural state of football. It is a beautiful exception, a moment when, just briefly, attack outruns the machinery built to stop it. Read the whole line, not the last result, and you will see a century of the game slowly, brilliantly, learning how to say no. This has been a bonus from the long series. Next time, back to the main line, the price of light, and the most spectacular collapse in cost in all of history. Subscribe, and we'll keep reading the long lines together.